Gotham City's feline fatale is a familiar sight for superhero fans. From comics to television to movies, Selina Kyle has burgled her way through the city in her sleek costume and cat-eared cowl as the fiendish Catwoman for decades. However, her original incarnation would be almost unrecognizable to those familiar with her more recent exploits. When she first debuted in the spring of 1940, she wasn't even called Catwoman. She was simply the Cat for her first appearance, and then became the Catwoman. The hyphen eventually disappeared in the mid-1940s. She wasn't Selina Kyle either. Instead of one regular alter ego, she adopted a string of different aliases to aid in her felonious schemes. Whatever name she gave was inevitably a ruse. Her costume was different as well, in that she didn't actually have one. She relied on disguises, using false identities to get near the items she wanted to steal, rather than the sly breaking and entering tactics that became her modus operandi years later. Catwoman also adapted her clothes and hair to the circumstances at hand so that she could blend in, whether she was pretending to be an old woman vacationing on a cruise ship or a society gal throwing legendary soirees. She donned a mask in her third appearance, but it was nothing like her modern, form-fitting cowls. Instead, it was a realistic cat's head, which was large enough to fit over her own and came complete with brown fur and whiskers. This mask stuck around for a few issues. Catwoman eventually settled into a regular costume and adopted a consistent alter ego, leaving behind her enigmatic origins and cumbersome mask for more typical comic book villain fare. Despite her lack of resemblance to her modern incarnations, the original Catwoman was familiar at her core. She was a clever thief, almost impossible to pin down, and a constant headache for the Caped Crusader. Catwoman was a crafty, independent cat burglar from her very first appearance, firmly establishing the heart, if not the look, of the character for the myriad versions that followed. The men behind Catwoman. The creation of Catwoman is usually credited to Bob Kane, the man also credited with Batman, Robin, and a host of Gotham City's other iconic characters. All the live-action adaptations of Catwoman, from the Batman television show in 1966 to Batman Returns in 1992 to Catwoman in 2004, have prominently featured a credit in their opening sequence that declares, "Based on characters created by Bob Kane." Creating Batman in his universe was Kane's entire identity, an accomplishment he traded on for decades until his death in 1998. Kane's tombstone even reads, "God bestowed a dream upon Bob Kane. Blessed with divine inspiration and a rich imagination, Bob created a legacy known as Batman." Kane's tombstone also reads, "Bob Kane, Bruce Wayne, Batman. They are one and the same." Bob infused his dual identity character with his own attributes: goodness, kindness, compassion, sensitivity, generosity, intelligence, integrity, courage, purity of spirit, and a love of all mankind. One would be hard-pressed to find anyone who knew Kane and agrees with this list. Understanding the creation of Catwoman requires a closer look at Kane and the development of the Batman mythos as a whole. The standard Bob Kane legend begins in 1939, with DC Comics editor Vin Sullivan searching for another hit superhero after the surprise success of Superman a year earlier. Comic books were still a young medium in America, and the Man of Steel was the industry's first unique success, so every editor was keen to find the next caped hero. Kane, a young cartoonist with a few credits in other DC titles, accepted the challenge. After speaking with Sullivan on a Friday, Kane came back to the office Monday morning with the Batman, millionaire playboy Bruce Wayne by day and masked vigilante by night. Sullivan loved the character and made him the cover story for Detective Comics number 27 in May 1939. He was an instant hit, quickly spinning off into other titles.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.